Hi, welcome to Introduction to Ethics. My name is Grant Yoakum. I'll be your instructor for this semester, and this is an online class. So this will more or less be the format of your lectures. In order to sort of facilitate a discussion between us, I'm going to be managing a discussion group on specific topics from the readings and from the videos that we'll be seeing throughout the semester. So, this is Introduction to Ethics Online, Phil 103, Section 5, CRN 32914, Summer 2, 2012, with the Department of Philosophy at Oakland University. So, the purpose of this lecture is to give you a general introduction to the course and to go over the course syllabus, which is now posted to Moodle. I had sent you a day or so ago a email saying that I would get you both this lecture and the syllabus. Like I say, you're going to have to log on to Moodle in order to get the course syllabus, and I suggest you actually call that up now and maybe print a copy so that you can put your own notes next to it. So, if you want to pause the video, this would be a good time to do that now. Now, the first things you'll find on the syllabus are the course catalog description and the course objectives. Now, this is just boilerplate that Oakland University wants me to put on there, just so that everything is above board, and so that you know exactly what class you're taking. But since you enrolled in this class, I assume you've seen this already, and I'm going to have you be responsible for that. Now, you're probably freaked out because the next section is the required textbooks. The required textbooks for this class should be at the Oakland University bookstore. All of these books are actually required, and you'll see it's probably scary for you. It's like 7 books, but don't you worry, we're not going all the way through any of them, and these are actually older translations, so I've tried to keep the cost as low as possible. I think the last book, The Existentialism in Human Emotions, is probably the most expensive book on this list. But nonetheless, let's go through them. The first book is Plato's 5 Dialogues. So to give you an example, we were just reading 2 of these dialogues. You'll see in the book it contains the Euthyphro, the Apology, the Crito, the Meno, and the Phaedo. We'll be reading the Apology and the Crito in this class. All right, so those will be your first readings. Next, we move on to Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics. And like I say, you'll notice most of these books are by the publishing company Hackett, who utilizes old good translations, and they've got great explanatory notes in them as well. Now there's something like 10 books to the Nicomachean Ethics. We'll be taking a look at books 1, 2, and 3. So, a portion of that book. The next is a little pamphlet, but probably the most difficult book that we'll engage with this semester. It's Immanuel Kant's Grounding to the Metaphysic of Morals. We'll be turning to that after the first midterm. Kant is one of the most important ethical theorists in the history of Western philosophy, and a lot of people still make Kantian sort of arguments. So this will be important, even though don't let its flimsy little, we're probably reading 40 pages of it or something along those lines. So don't let that fool you. This is dense reading. So we'll get to that later in the semester. After we turn to Kant, this is where I had you buy 2 books. John Stuart Mill's Utilitarianism, sections 1, 2, and 3 we'll be reading, and on Liberty, just for the first section. I like doing it this way because Kant reacts to and is in dialogue sort of with John Stuart Mill. So we'll read Kant to get the position that John Stuart Mill in his utilitarianism was reacting to, and just politicize things somewhat and bring it into sort of a contemporary democratic context, Mill's On Liberty. is going to be a useful document as well. So we'll just be reading the first section of On Liberty. Then that brings us to the second midterm, at which point we will switch gears entirely, and I just realized I grabbed the wrong book. Just 1 second. Okay, beyond the bugger. Okay. Well, apparently, this is the interesting point. I don't have the book with me right now because it's down in a pile of research that I'm doing, but the next book is by a guy by the name of Friedrich Nietzsche, and we'll be reading the first little bit of his Beyond Good and Evil. That's a little bit cheaper book. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong book when I was preparing to do this video. But nonetheless, it's an interesting argument that calls question to everything that we've read before that. And then finally, we will be concluding with Jean-Paul Sartre, who passed away in the 80s. So this brings us pretty contemporarily up to the present in terms of ethical theory. And Jean-Paul Sartre is going to present sort of an existentialist conception of morality that's, I think, going to be really interesting and harkens back to Kant as well. So that hopefully will be an interesting semester. I've tried to pick books that are sort of representative of the major trends in well over 2,000 years of ethical theory, and interesting reads as well, right? So we'll be able to touch on a number of issues as we go through this ethical theory. Now, I wrote up a course description here, which I've been meaning to sort of edit a little bit for semesters. I'll just start off by reading it. In general, the term ethics denotes sets of standards that serve to govern conduct and serve as a sort of tablet by which particular actions may be judged. Throughout the history of philosophy, the question of how we ought to live and act has dominated the theoretical field. In this course, we'll study 6, and I just discussed the 6, distinct but related attempts to form a basis for substantive ethical judgments from the history of Western philosophy. Each of the figures to be studied in this course make claims about the nature of truth and knowledge that serve to support their arguments concerning the nature of the ethical. We will examine each of these arguments in order to produce a well-rounded understanding of the nature of the debate surrounding ethical theory and practice within Western philosophy. Now, that's a good general introduction, but I wanted to give you a little bit more of an idea of what we'll be getting at in this semester. Now, the field of ethics, well, actually, it operates a lot like the field of physics, right? And anyone who's studied a bit of physics knows that physicists, they don't have all the answers. We don't have a grand unified theory that explains everything. We don't know the principal cause of motion in the universe. The physicist doesn't know all the answers, right? In much the same way, ethics is not set. It's not done. We haven't licked it in the same way we haven't licked quantum mechanics. Right? So if you're taking this course to just simply be told what good is and what evil is and what we have to do in order to live a good life and avoid a bad life, maybe this isn't the course. Right? This is why we're studying 6 theoretical approaches to answering the question. Right? So what we'll be doing, right, less than me sort of proselytizing and telling you, do this or else, don't do that or else. I mean, some of these guys will do that, but that's not the point of this course. Right? What the point of this course is to sort of examine the principles that allow us to determine between good actions and bad actions. Another way of putting this is a course designed to teach you how to manage your freedom, because we're free. And that's why it makes sense to ask any of these questions in the first place. Right? The first principle of ethics has to do with the fact that we can choose to do this rather than that. Right? If we can't choose this rather than that, the whole realm of the should makes no sense whatsoever. Right? So, this course is about freedom and what we should do with it. Alright? So, anyhow, that's what we're up to. Now, to the nuts and bolts of this class. The next thing you see on the syllabus here is the grading scheme. You'll see that there are 2 midterms and a final exam, plus discussion board participation. So, the midterm exams, if we just turn to page 2, the evaluation section, the course is divided into 3 sections containing 2 philosophers each. Each midterm exam and the final exam for this course will test the section that you're working on only. So, that is, it's not a comprehensive exam. So at the end of the course, when we've just studied Sartre, I'm not going to have you go back to the beginning of the course where we studied Socrates. Right? So, nonetheless, right, not comprehensive exams, rather they will just cover the section we're working on at that time. Each exam will consist of 3 longer answer questions related to each of the particular philosophers. Right? So the first exam, we'll be studying Plato's 5 Dialogues and the character Socrates here, so there will be 3 questions on Socrates. Part 2 of the exam will be related to Aristotle. We'll be discussing 3 books, so you can probably figure that there will be a question on each book of the Nicomachean Ethics. Right? So, for a total of 6 longer answer questions. Now, these questions, I'm requiring you to submit at least a minimum of 2 paragraphs in response to each of these questions. Right? Far too often I get these 3-sentence responses, and these exams are 6 questions. They total to 30% of your final grade, so that means each question is worth 5% of your final grade. Right? So I'm going to need something fairly substantial in the way of an answer to each of these questions, right? So where was I here? The questions will be designed to test both reading comprehension and a more general understanding of the ideas that we've studied. The questions often require students to take a critical stance towards the material and will reflect both text and class or lecture discussions, or something that happened on the discussion board as well. Now, these, like I say, are longer answer questions. As such, a minimum of 2 paragraphs of discussion, argument, reflection, exegesis are expected for each response to be considered sufficient. Right? So if you offer me a paragraph or 3 sentences, even if they're the most beautiful 3 sentences I've ever read in my life, it's still only 3 points. Right? So they get you 60% on the particular question. You don't want that. The midterm and the final exams will be posted to Moodle a minimum of 5 days before the due dates indicated below, and no late assignments are going to be accepted. Right? So you've got to get these done, you've got to get these done in time. I give you 5 days with it, which should be plenty of time. And keep in mind, these are essentially open book exams too, right? So you'll have access to these texts, right? You'll be able to, rather than having to memorize, which isn't very useful, it's not good pedagogy, right? So I don't do that. So rather than that, it's, rather than a do or die exam, it's a do or learn how to do kind of exam. So, that's what we're talking about for the exams. Under the important dates section on page 2, you'll find the due dates for each of these exams. Midterm 1 is due July 23rd, so believe it or not, July 18th, right around the corner, is going to be when I post it to Moodle. Right? So the 23rd, by noon. The first exam is due. Monday, August 6th by noon. The second of the exams is due, and then the final exam will be posted to Moodle August 15th and due August 20th by 5 minutes to midnight. I give you the extra half a day, right, for the final exam. Now, the second part of the evaluation that you'll see from page 1, you'll see discussion board participation. With each of the video lectures that I post on each of these theorists, you will get a specific directed question. All right? So it's with when we read Plato's 5 Dialogues, I'll ask some sort of overarching question, and each of you will be expected to respond to that question or respond to the responses of your fellow students. That's the wonderful thing about these classes. They're one big think tank. We're one big reading group here, right? So what we're doing with each of these questions is to collaborate with one another to develop an understanding of the material. Right? Now, you see, when you're taking this course, right, these books, what are they, 50, 60, under 70 bucks anyway, right? And you get a lot of them. The books themselves are cheap. The course is expensive, right? So what do you get for this course? Well, partially you get me, because clearly from the state of my books, you can tell I've read through these a lot, right? I kind of know these books like the back of my hand. So if you have questions about these, I'm going to try and explain what's important about the theory, distill it throughout this semester. All right? But in addition to me, you have each other, all concerned with doing the same readings that you're doing. Right? So you can collaborate in trying to understand this. And I know you don't understand this probably from being younger and just starting out in university and always having a big think group to help you understand the books that you're reading. But I mean, I've been out of school a little while, and one of the biggest things I miss when I'm sitting down to try and understand what the heck's going on with theory, right, is having a bunch of go-to people that I can discuss the theory with, right? So it's neat that way, right? So we can help each other, right? The final thing you'll be getting is some form of certification in the way for a credit at the university for this course. So those are the three things that you get. But what I want to emphasize is that this class is a think tank, right? Now, these discussion boards, you're expected to respond to each of them. I'll be reading them, I'll be managing the posts. Every now and again, you'll see me log on and enter into a debate or the discussion as well, just to kind of show you that I'm there and paying attention, right? But it's in addition to this, I'll read the section on discussion board that I've got. Each figure we study will be accompanied with a discussion topic posted to Moodle. You're expected to enter debates, offer criticisms, and generally discuss the nuances of the theoretical positions of each of these figures via the Moodle forum. Right? So all of them is the answer. And honestly, what I'm trying to generate this is, with this discussion forum, is a dialogue, a debate, right? And you'll notice offer criticisms is included. This is the beautiful part of the discussion board forum, right? You're getting grades for trying to understand, for going out on a limb. This is the part of the class you don't even so much have to be right for, right? You're allowed to, in addition to this, be critical of this material. This isn't you just saying what you think I want to hear. What I want to see is a genuine attempt to grapple with the issues presented by the theoretical positions that we're studying, right? So, this is one of these courses, right, where my agreeing with you isn't important, right? It's going to be the quality of your arguments and your criticisms that determine your success in this course throughout this course. That's true of exams too. You don't just have to agree with me, but you have to be able to, in some sort of relevant way, interact and discuss and criticize the arguments that we're taking a look at, right? You should be concerned with this because each of these guys, it's an ethics course, they're trying to tell you what to do. They're trying to tell you what to do. So you should be concerned with this, right? So, that's the discussion board, right? Now, at the end of the semester, a grade out of 10 points will be assigned based on the frequency, relevance, and quality of your participation. For example, posts like, I agree, or this is stupid, without additional comments or criticism will be insufficient to garner a passing grade on this, right? Please note that I'm looking for discussion amongst students with regard to the material and not merely personal reflections. Also, I should state this as well, with the discussion board content policy, the discussion board for this course is intended and should only be used for discussion of the course material. Procedural questions and general comments about the course, that is, like when we're getting our grades back, or how did everybody do on this exam, etc., should be directed to either one another or to me on via email, right? Right, we should keep the discussions topical, right? The other thing that I want to stipulate, only because I've had some problems in the past with this, is that personal attacks or any derogatory comments about other students, anything that gets rather vicious, will be removed and harsh sanctions will be imposed. So let's keep it clean, let's keep it topical, and remember, we're reacting to these guys, not to one another. Right? It's okay for you to disagree, but it's important that you understand your student handbook, Oakland University's policies, and the course policy tells you to keep it civil, right? So we're going to keep it civil on the discussion board, okay? Right? So know that going in. Now, everything you need for this course will be found on Moodle. It's your node, all of your assignments, all of the video lectures, all of the supplementary lectures, because in addition to my take on the material, I supplement my videos by including videos by other theorists that are out there and there for us to use as well. So Michael Sandel, Harvard professor, a guy by the name of Rick Roderick, Professor at Duke, etc., etc., etc. I think I even use Alain de Botton, crazy British philosopher guy, as well, for some of these sections as well, right? So hopefully you'll like the supplements and be able to get something from them. I do this just to not, again, proselytize and give you only my take, right? Part of the reason we're using primary texts rather than a reader is because I want you to be able to go back to the primary material, right, and say, but no, Socrates says, right? So by giving you my video lectures, I'm giving you what I say about Socrates. By using a reader, all we get is what Joe Blow says about Socrates, Aristotle, Kant, Mill, etc., right? So in addition to my position, I'm going to be giving you a number of other positions too. The point of this is so that we can sort of take a critical stance to the material and avoid the sort of dogmatic approach to ethics that I think has dominated the theoretical field for eons. Right? So everything you need will be on Moodle. Links to the video lectures will be posted there. You see mine are YouTube. Some of the others are YouTube as well. The Rick Roderick stuff are YouTube, but I'm going to be posting you through the rickroderick.org site because there are transcripts there as well. So you can read through the lectures in addition to listen to Rick Roderick with his Texas drawl and go through them. So that'll be neat. Notes and handouts. If I find it necessary to supplement with the handout They'll be found on Moodle as well, course assignments, all of your exams, all of your discussion board topics. So log into Moodle. If you don't know how, figure it out, call IT services, and away we go. So, midterms, finals, check. Let me see. Grading policies, check. Now we've reached that part of the intro video that I don't much like. The general policies section. There are four main things. There are four main sections here. One is plagiarism, and what I give you in the way of plagiarism here, and you'll see it referenced on the bottom of page 2, is straight from the student handbook. So I'm going to read it just to be above board. Plagiarizing the work of others. Plagiarism is using someone else's work or ideas without giving that person credit. By doing this, a student is, in effect, claiming credit for someone else's thinking. Whether the student has read or heard the information used, the student must document the source of this information. When dealing with written sources, a clear distinction should be made between quotations, which reproduce the information from the source, word for word within quotation marks, and paraphrases, which digest the source of the information and produce it in the student's own words. Both direct quotations and paraphrases must be documented. Even if the student rephrases, condenses, or selects from another person's work, the ideas are still the other person's, and failure to give credit constitutes misrepresentation of the student's actual work and plagiarism of another's ideas. Buying a paper or using information from the World Wide Web or Internet, awkward as that is to say, without attribution and handing it in as one's own work is plagiarism. So that's plagiarism. It's a form of theft, right? Is what it is. You're stealing. You're stealing somebody else's ideas, and you're attempting to steal a grade from the university, right? Now, Oakland University treats this very seriously, right? I take this very seriously, and the funny thing about my contract is Oakland University considers me an adequate judge of whether or not you understand the material based on your written work and your discussion forum participation, that sort of thing. But authorship, I'm not allowed to determine that. If there's a question about who authored the paper, right, or large chunks of the paper as well, what I do is I have to pass it on to the Dean of Students' office. This is just part of my contract, right? And then they look into it, they examine the evidence, and determine whether or not it was a case of plagiarism. That's not even my call. I can't determine whether or not it's plagiarism, right? I can suspect plagiarism, but they make that final determination. And then it goes through a full-boat academic hearing with guidance counselors and, a faculty committee, and the dean of students is there, etc., etc., etc. And really, really harsh penalties, right, are there. So just do a cost-benefit analysis. You're worried about how you'll do on this exam. You're worried you're going to get like a C or something like that, right? Well, if you plagiarize, and I should warn you, I've got like a wacky knack for determining whether or not somebody is plagiarized. I've found 40 or 50 cases at Oakland University in my day, right? If you do that, right, read the next line. There will be a zero tolerance policy on plagiarism in this course. Any student suspected of this form of theft will be automatically passed on to the academic review board. That's through the Dean of Students' office. Expulsion from the university is possible. Course policy for this offense, and this is something I say, is automatic failure, not of the assignment, but of the course. You fail the course, right? So, question 4 on exam 2 is giving you a hard time, so you think you're going to cut and paste some stuff. You do that, I'll find it, you fail. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Now, I started this policies and procedures thing off by saying that this is the part I hate, right? Because here I am wagging my finger at you. In the context of an ethics course, that's really funny too, right? Because we're trying to delineate between right and wrong. But in the academic context, what am I trying to do in this course? Determine whether or not you've got a facility with this theory sufficient to garner a passing grade and gain a university level credit. If I don't have your work, your grades, I can't do that. I can't do that. Right? So, right, and on top of that, right, and again, I'm sorry, you guys haven't done anything yet. Right? You haven't done anything, right? And the fact that people actually try and get away with this puts me in a position where I've got to be waving my finger. I don't want to wave my finger. We just met, right? And I hope we're going to have a really wonderful semester. So you don't plagiarize, we're going to have a really wonderful semester. You plagiarize, there's some pretty stiff penalties, so just don't do it. It doesn't make any sense, right? Now, missed exams. This is item 2 in the general policies, general policies section. Missed exams. I'm the first to understand that life happens, right? Sometimes, especially in the summer, something happens that the internet goes down, or you get sick, or there's trouble in the family, or something happens. Right? I'm more than happy to work through whatever issues. I just ask that you do something fairly standard, right, in order to manage the situation. In the unfortunate event that you miss an exam, due date, due to serious illness or death in the family, or something happens, the sky falls, what have you. You must notify me via email, by telephone message, with the departmental office, whatever. You've got a couple of ways to get a hold of me there. Either before the date and time in question, and that's preferable. Right? Geez, professor, this due date has come up on me, and I'm not going to be able to get the assignment to you on time. Right? Okay, fine. I'll give you a couple of extra days. We can work through it. Right? Or if you miss it, oh geez, this guy fell and I wasn't able to get to a computer, that sort of thing, within 12 hours of the deadline or due date. Right? Otherwise, I will not be able to offer an extension. Right? Either before the due date or within 12 hours. That's not asking for the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon, especially with you've got your handheld devices that can, at a whim, launch off an email. Right? You can probably view most of these video lectures on your handheld devices. Right? So you're so connected these days, for the most part. And if not, you'll be able to get to a computer or a phone and leave a message with Anne in the Department of Philosophy at Oakland. Right. And we'll be able to manage that situation. But please, either before the date in question or within 12 hours of the deadline. Right? Otherwise, it's far too often. I'll tell you why this is here. Just like the plagiarism policy, it's there because I've had problems in the past. It's not because I'm assuming you're going to be taking advantage or anything along those lines. It's because I've had problems in the past, and I'm a big believer in solving a problem before it becomes a problem. All right. The missed exam policy is there because I've had students at the end of the semester say, oh, by the way, I still haven't written the first midterm. Well, it's too late. Right? You'll see also I hand out a series of model answers. Right? So that's an unfair advantage to somebody who's missed an exam or something along those lines. So that's there to solve a problem before it becomes a problem. Now, item 3 under general policies is email. Now, I'm just going to paraphrase this and tell you what the deal is. This is a smallish course, but the only way you have to get in touch with me, for the most part, is email. Right? I manage a lot of things. Right? A lot of these emails. I get an email notification every time you put a discussion forum post up there, and I'm reading through those. It's a lot of you will email me a number of times a week to ask me about material. This is good. You're engaged with the class, right? But the problem is that I just get so bogged down, so jammed with emails. In addition to this, I run a philosophical society. In addition to this, I have other teaching duties, other places. And, 40 or 50 emails a day. Oh my God, how does anybody... It would have to come out of sleep. I wouldn't sleep, right? First off, it's not an instant form of communication, right? Sometimes a colleague of mine from across the hall emails me, right? And it takes 12 hours to get to me in the first place, right? And secondly, sometimes I get so jammed down with so many emails from so many students, and frequently they're the same question. Right? So what I'll do in those cases sometimes is send a general email out to everyone. I'm not ignoring you, right? I'm doing my best to keep up with the email, but if you've got a question and 5 other people have the same question, I'm guessing another 10 people in the class also have that question or haven't even realized they've got that question yet. So I'll email everybody with a response to that question and you'll all have it. Right? So it's my apologies, you lose some of the personal touch that way, but nonetheless, I'm managing a large volume of email, and I'm going to do my best to stay on top of emails, but sometimes I fall behind, right? So that's the deal there. So it should be understood that email's not a form of instant communication. I'll do my best to answer your emails in a timely fashion, but due to the high volume of emails associated with these courses, I do fall behind from time to time. If you have questions about the course, the best and most direct manner for these questions to arise is in person, via the office hours, or in class. Now, unfortunately, in an online format, we don't have that. I'm just going to have to put extra effort into, answering your emails, right? But nonetheless, if a couple of days have gone by and you don't have an answer to your email me again. And sometimes it just falls by the wayside, right? If I have a number of similar questions regarding the course material or procedure, I frequently send out a mass email to everyone regarding this question. Nota bene, note well, Oakland University requires that all course correspondence should occur through your Oakland University email account. That said, with that, I will not be able to reply to any emails except those using Oakland University email addresses. Right, that's just Oakland University's policy on top of that. Right, so bear with me. Like I say, there are 26 of you in this course. If I get 4 emails a week, including discussion forums and that sort of thing from the 26 of you, that's over 100 emails a week, and I'm going to fall behind, but I'm going to do my best with keeping up with the really important ones. The time-sensitive ones, I triage these things, so bear with me. Right? So this is because I've had problems with students complaining that I don't respond to their emails. Like I say, I don't know how anybody keeps up with these emails if you're getting 200-300 a week or something like that. Right? So just know that going in, and know that I'm here and I'm trying. And we've already read over the discussion board content. Now, the important dates section, we've already gone over that. That'll list your due dates for each of your exams, and the Moodle discussion board closes on the date and time that the final exam comes in. So August 20th at 11:55 p.m., that's 5 minutes to midnight, that's last call for everything. right? You've had all semester. But that said, with the discussion boards, I leave them open all semester so that right at the end of the class, when you're dealing with Sartre, if you find something that harkens back to the Socrates discussion, you're going to be able to have that aha moment, right? And I give you credit for that Socrates post at the end of the course, just as well as I give it to you for the beginning of the course, right? Now, a feverish sort of flurry of 6 responses at 11 o'clock on August 20th, that's going to reflect a certain level of engagement. Remember, what I'm trying to generate and what I'm grading you on is an ongoing discussion throughout the course. So you're best to stay on top of these discussion board forums, right? And that'll reflect in your grade. But nonetheless, you'll get some grades right up to the last minute on those discussion board forums, right? Discussion forum posts, that is, there. Now, one more page to go. It's the last page on the syllabus. It's got your tentative schedule. Week 1, we're already into it. It began on the 2nd of July. Silly, like before your long weekend. So welcome to the course. Now go on holiday. Always confuse me. But nonetheless, all we're doing this week is welcome, syllabus, course policy overview, general course overview, this video. And you'll notice when I post this video that a video on the pre-Socratic philosophers for background will be posted as well. I'm going to have you view that one. Now, my pre-Socratic video, these take a little bit of time and a little bit of preparation to do. Some of my videos will be a bit older. The pre-Socratics one is a little bit older, and what you'll find is I've moved since then, so it'll be in a different office, and you'll find a sort of a chalkboard behind me as well. I'm aware that the writing on the chalkboard is not the most legible through the video format because we're dealing with an old camera as well, but everything that is written on the board behind me will be said as well. Right, so pay close attention, and this is background material, just to help you with your understanding of the Socrates material as well. Oh, and pre-Socratic philosopher, well, it's what it sounds like. It's any philosopher that was before Socrates. Socrates is the only guy that we know an appreciable amount about, right? So what we know about other pre-Socratic philosophers comes from what Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Herodotus, and a host of other historians have sort of quoted them as saying we don't have any primary material. So everybody before Socrates who's a philosopher is called a pre-Socratic philosopher. That simply means before Socrates. So that's just background. It'll help you understand sort of the intellectual climate that Socrates was writing in. So that's week 1. Week 2, July 9th to the 13th, we'll move on to Socrates. And Socrates, I know it's confusing. The book says Plato, but then the character is going to be named Socrates. The dialogues that we've got here are written by Plato, but they're taken to be just reportage of Socrates' position, right? So I call this guy Socrates, what we'll be reading in the Apology and the Credo. So even though it says in Plato's 5 dialogues. Anyhow, that's week 2. Week 3, we'll move on to Aristotle, and after week 3, I give you your due dates again on the tentative schedule. The first midterm is due July 23rd by noon. Week 4, we'll have Kant. I've got video lectures for those. Then we'll move on to John Stuart Mill and his utilitarianism and on liberty. View all of those readings, and after that week, due by August 6th, is by noon, is midterm 2 on Kant and Mill, right? And so on and so forth, right? Classes end, so you'll have no new material after August 18th. Now, the final exam for this course will be posted on the 15th, so up to the 18th, and I'll probably give you a review video for the final. The final is due on the 20th, and 2 days later I'm required to have your grades in. So by August 22nd, we're all done. and away we go. All right. Now, the last thing that I'm going to have you take a look at on this syllabus is the grading scheme, and take a good look at it, right? Because this will give you the letter grade to percentage point conversion, and you'll probably find this a little bit different than what you're used to. This is what I grew up with. All right, this is pretty standard from Canadian universities. By the way, my name's Grant Yoakum. I'm Canadian, right? And frequently I commute over to Oakland University to teach these courses. To keep my conversations low with the Department of Homeland Security, what they've been having me do is online classes in this format. Right, so this is cut and pasted from Canadian universities. You see anything below 50 is a failure. 50 through to 59.9 is D range. 60 through 69.9 is C range. 70 through 79.9 is B range. And 80 through 100 is A range. Right? So that's just, these percentage points are just what I think when I say A, B, C, D, F. All right. Now, this makes absolutely no difference. An A is still an A, a B is still a B, because what I give you down here at the bottom of page 3 of your syllabus is the letter grade to grade point conversion chart that the Office of the Registrar at Oakland University gives me. All right. So I calculate a percentage, the percentage changes to a letter grade, and then the letter grade changes to a grade out of 4 points, which I then submit to the Office of the Registrar, and that's all the Office of the Registrar actually ever sees. So pay attention to the letter grade that you've got based on this conversion chart, and the conversion chart below will give you your 4-point grade in the course. Right. So that's that for the syllabus. So the next thing you'll be working on is the PreSocratics background material. We're going to start off with Thales and then move to Heraclitus and Parmenides and to a group of interesting figures called the Sophists. This is all good background material because, as I understand Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, they're all in dialogue, right, with the earliest questions, the earliest debates, the earliest confusions with regard to Western philosophy, right? So that'll give you good background there. And then after that, I look forward to getting into arguments and debates with all of you about this material. Hopefully, it should be a fun semester. And like I say, some of the videos that you'll be seeing in this course are mine, some of them are not. Some of the ones that are mine are new, otherwise some of them are not. I update the ones that need updating. Just as my understanding of the material and what you need from this material, it sort of develops over time. And that will be that. Bam. Take care, guys.